What it do, Fourth and Trollers? Welcome back to Fourth and Troll Fantasy, the most entertaining fantasy football podcast on the planet. I am Noah Selby.
I am Wes Selby.
And we're back. We're here. We're ready to talk about week 3 as we're about to get it in bulk. Some studs and duds for you guys going into week 3 of fantasy football. Some guys to get in that lineup. And I'm gonna let you guys know there is a guy that I personally roster that I'm going to say, get that dude out of your lineup this week. So definitely going to want to stick around for that. It's going to be a fun time. Before we do that, we're going to get into the Thursday Night Football recap. Jets taking down the New England Patriots. It's going to be a fun time. Before we do any of that, everything down below, go ahead, click on it, like it, subscribe it, ring that bell, whatever you want to do. Follow us on our socials. We're always getting stuff out for you. And
subscribe.
You head over to our, subscribe. Head over to our Patreon, Fourth and Troll, patreon.com/Fourth and Troll Fantasy. We've got a Discord community. We're dropping weekly rankings. It's always a fun time. Got some exclusive merch there as well if you guys are interested in that. Wes, let's hit some news, some things to discuss before we discuss more things.
Yes, a little bit of a light week, which is really nice for the news portion, given how many injuries we had to cover last episode. Okay, here's what we got so far. Tua Tagovailoa was officially placed on IR, minimum of 4 weeks before he could possibly play. As of now, Skylar Thompson will be the quarterback for the Miami Dolphins. For those of you that have Dolphin skill players, which most of you do within the first 4 rounds at least, the Chiefs signed Kareem Hunt to help replace Isaiah Pacheco. Andy Reid and the Chiefs offensive coordinator stated that it's possible Kareem Hunt will play this Sunday against the Falcons. In the meantime, Carson Steele is officially listed as the RB1. We will be talking about Kareem Hunt in our Studs and Duds episode, so stick around. You get some immediate advice on that. A couple more here. The Rams did not place Cooper Kupp on injured reserve, since they do believe he can return within that 4-week period. It is a high ankle sprain, but 2, maybe 3 weeks from now, we get Cooper Kupp back. Justin Jefferson practiced in full on Thursday. He's expected to play this Sunday. Jordan Love may actually be back this week for some strange reason. If not, he's very likely going to play in week 4. Evan Ingram is questionable for week 3 with a hamstring injury. T. Higgins was practicing Thursday, questionable now for week 3. Jake Ferguson returned to practice. He's also questionable. And George Kittle, the bad kind of questionable, was did not participate in practice on Thursday. Questionable, hamstring injury. That's it for the news. Let's recap this Patriots at Jets game on Thursday night.
Or not. I don't want to.
Or not.
But I guess we can. Yeah, let's talk about it. The Jets take down the New England Patriots 24-3. Decent game all around as far as some key fantasy players that you might think about that you definitely have in your lineup. Yeah, if you're a Hunter Henry fab dropper, you're not having a good time. We'll definitely talk about him in just a second. But yeah, good time. Saw a little bit of Drake May on the final Patriots drive. We'll see. I'm sure we'll hear a little bit more this week on the possibility of him maybe making his first start next week. But yeah, good time all around over there in where is that at? The Meadowlands?
Yeah. New Jersey, somewhere. I forget exactly where.
One of those
Rutherford. Something like that.
Anyways. Listen, let's talk about it real quick. Yeah, we're going to talk about our starts, our must starts, our risky starts, and our don't starts. And we'll just start out here, man. I mean, dude, what happened here with Rhamondre Stevenson? I mean, where's the guy that you gave like nearly 30 opportunities to over the first 2 weeks? And then he's got 6 carries. That's it. 6 carries, and he fumbles. And I had to ask you because I missed the first quarter and a half of the game. Like, hey, did Rhamondre get hurt? Like, what happened here? Like, what's going on? And you're like, nope, I don't know. Nope. I could not tell you.
He just literally hurt your week.
It just didn't play. 0.3 fantasy points. So, listen, I'm with you guys. If you start him, I said he was a must start. All signs pointed to him being a must start. He was a bell cow. He was getting great work. The Jets had given up big points to running backs. Like everything was pointing to Rhamondre is going to be the guy. They're
Yeah.
not going to be able to throw a lot. Like, this is going to be a game. And I'm with you guys. I had him in the lineup tonight, and whew, it's going to be a tough road back for a victory. Starting out with
That's for sure.
0.3.
But no shame in saying he was your must start. Why would anyone not start him after what he's done the first 2 weeks? This is just a really bad game. Is this a sign of things to come? Because this is what we noticed a lot from actually Kirk Herbstreit was pointing it out during the game. When the Patriots are behind or they're not close in the score, are they going to be able to run a lot? Because it wasn't like someone else was getting the opportunities. They just were terrible offensively. They had less than 50 yards at halftime. So this is a bit of a concern, but not enough for me to not start Stevenson next week. But
no, and they should.
Yokes!
It may be a bit of you make a good point. It may be a bit of a matchup dependent play. Honestly, but I mean, to be honest, if that was my mindset, I wouldn't have played him week 1 against the Bengals because I wouldn't have thought that game was going to be close, and I probably wouldn't have played him week 2 against the Seahawks because I probably wouldn't have thought that game was going to be close. So I'm not sure, man. I don't know. Under the lights, things choked up. I'm not sure what happened. I mean, he still had a higher snap percentage than Gibson, even though Gibson led the team in rushing. It's very, very strange scenario. Not entirely sure what fully was the reason. I'm sure we'll hear a little bit more, but definitely was tough goings. Wes, your must start Garrett Wilson. Listen, I believe 14.3 points. Was that his best game so far this season?
I think he had a better output in week 1.
Was he? I think it was. If it was close as far as fantasy points goes.
No, this was his best. This was his best.
So
by
good
2
things
points.
So good things if you drafted Garrett Wilson for sure. 5 catches. I believe it was on 6 targets, 33 yards, and a touchdown.
You want more?
Again, just kind of like you want more. You drafted the guy in the first round, and I think we'll get more. I think we will. I mean, the Patriots aren't just bend over and do whatever you want, and we can just air the ball out against you. Like, it's not that kind of defense. They're definitely a strong defense. So, we want more though.
Absolutely.
You drafted him in the first round for more.
He's the potential. He's oozing with potential, and you can see it when he gets the football. I mean, do you mind if may I transition to the other wide receiver for the Jets that is making a little noise? Are we going to have a conversation where we actually consider Allen Lazard as like a top 15 wide receiver by the end of the season? Is there a scenario where this is just actually the way the Jets offense runs with Aaron Rodgers?
No.
Because Lazard, week 1, garbage time touchdown helped him get to top 5, but Garrett Wilson had 5 catches. Allen Lazard had 3 catches as well. Both got a score. Are you going to start throwing in Allen Lazard in your flex option?
I don't think I can trust it. I think that's what I think. I mean, I think the offense is getting a little more opened up, so to speak. I mean, we'll talk about Braylon Allen here in just a second, and Mike Williams as well. But I think the expectation that it was like Garrett Wilson is the only dude. I think that's where we're going to have to course correct a little bit, because that's not the case. Like, yes, Rodgers always would go to Adams. Like, he would always be, that's a trusty guy. That's the guy there. That's who it is. He also had games where he'd get Allen Lazard inside the top 20 on the week. He'd have games where some of these other Packers wide receivers throughout his career would pick up and go. And, you think about the 2010s era, he was supporting a bunch of different guys there. He's always been a guy who, yes, he can have a top guy, but he's always going to be able to spread the ball around a little bit, especially we'll talk about Conklin here in just a second as well. But I'm not worried on Garrett Wilson. I'm considering it being like as much of a, maybe is he a buy low at this rate? Like, I think surely he has better games. Like, if this is the floor,
surely,
and you can buy low and you'll get the ceiling, like, surely it'll be a worthwhile trade. No?
This is probably very close to the ceiling of what he did last year with Zach Wilson. So I do think this is a very safe buy low, and you probably don't have to give up a lot, especially what we talked about last episode was we said you could even give this one more chance to see how Christian Gonzalez does with the coverage, because he might not produce a lot. And he still got a touchdown, but there's so much potential with this guy. I mean, he's so clearly ready to be a top 5 wide receiver. And I don't know if it's just the targets. I don't know if he's actually not as good as we think he is. I don't know if we just have too high of expectations. Maybe this is years from now. There's something that is just not quite gelling or solidifying. And it's making me angry. And I'm getting frustrated, dude. I'm pooping myself over this guy because I really want him to just explode, and he's going to be the best receiver in fantasy. But I mean, with a touchdown, it's like just not even 15 points. Ugh.
Yeah, I want more for sure. Let's jump to risky starts here. Wes, you said Hunter, or I said Hunter Henry. Or did you say Hunter Henry?
No, you said Hunter. I said the Jets running back, Braylon Allen.
Okay, so I said Hunter Henry. I kind of said, he has these games that pop up and then he scores like 4 points. Well, he had 2.9. So there you go. I mean, I don't really know what to tell you there. You can't really necessarily, I think, trust the Patriots pass catchers. So I think that's kind of where we're at going forward. A lot of people spent fab on Hunter Henry this week to acquire him. Luckily, thankfully, my opponent in our league started Hunter Henry at his tight end spot. Also had Garrett Wilson, who maybe was a little bit of a disappointment. So there you go. So good things going there. 2.9 points is not what you wanted when you spent fab or a waiver priority to get him. So there you go. Braylon Allen. Okay. Pulse check, like heat meter. Where are you at with Braylon Allen, actually, Wes?
Okay. I can see it. I can see why people bought into the hype. I can see why people used their waiver priorities and fab to get him. And I said he was a risk to start. And if you did still start him, you're probably not pissed off, but you probably were like, oh, this is like not for sure. And we actually pulled up the snap counts. And it was not all that close. Breece Hall had 71% of the snaps and Braylon Allen had 32%. But where I am, the breakout is coming. It feels that way. There's going to be a game where you start to realize this may become a tandem. Breece Hall is still safe. He's still going to be a top 10 running back, but I don't know. Doesn't Allen feel like that this guy just might end up being heavily featured 1A, 1B combo?
It'll inch closer to that by towards the end of the season. When I really do mean it when I say this offense is opening up. I mean, when it was the Zach Wilson led offense, it was like, okay, Breece Hall is getting well. Tim Boyle was also there too, so I don't even know who was the leader there at that point.
True, Trace McSorley.
But Breece Hall, it was like Hackett. I don't know how he kept a job because he kept a job because Rodgers is on the team. But it's like, okay, let's get the ball to Breece, or let's throw to Garrett Wilson, and that was it. And they're in a place where they have a competent quarterback. Dare I say, a good quarterback to open up that offense, to open up to get the ball out to different places. And I think they're enjoying the misdirection of people needing to adjust to the fact that Braylon Allen, like if it's a run play or if it's a running back is getting a ball, it's not just going to be Breece Hall. Because truthfully, the snaps and plays that I've seen for Braylon Allen, defenses look very lost when he gets the ball because they're like, oh, it's not in number 20's hands. Like it's somewhere else. Yeah. So I think it'll inch closer. I think his role will grow. I don't know if we'll be at I don't think we'll be at like a 50-50 at any point this season. But what you said on our show on Tuesday is that he has quickly become one of the most valuable handcuff backs to have. If Breece Hall goes down, Braylon Allen is the guy who at least I thought he was coming into, and a lot of other people did, but for some reason the NFL didn't. He was my number 4 running back coming into the draft. Was disappointed in the landing spot, obviously, but he's seeming to let the talent show through, and it's what we heard in the offseason is panning out as far as we get to this point now. So that's it for him. We both said don't start Jalen Polk, Wes, and right on the money. 2 targets, 2 catches for 13 yards, 3.3 fantasy points. Again, it's just the same thing as we said with Hunter Henry. It's just impossible. I don't know how you can really confidently on a weekly basis roll out any of these Patriots pass catchers. Maybe Drake May changes that if he plays a little bit more. But that's it for the starts there. Just a couple other people to talk about. Rodgers had a great game. 27 for 35, 281 yards and 2 touchdowns, 25 fantasy points. That's some good stuff there. Breece Hall, 18.3 fantasy points. He's still the guy. He had 21 opportunities, 20 touches on those 21 opportunities, 54 rushing yards and a touchdown, 29 receiving yards. He's a key piece of this offense. And even as we're talking about Braylon Allen and a role expanding, you don't get worried here with Breece Hall. He's still going to be that guy. He's pretty decent if you ask anybody else. Alan Lazard, we mentioned. Tyler Conklin, though, guy I want to mention here real quick. But all the Hunter Henry owners are pretty pissed off they didn't pick up Tyler Conklin straight this week. I mean, and here's the thing.
Jets, right? That's another catch.
Led the team in targets. Had 6 targets. We said this in the offseason. Conklin is going to have the chance here with Rodgers to be almost like a safety net, that kind of thing. And 5 for 6 for 93 yards. 14.3 fantasy points for Tyler Conklin. I don't want to make anyone like Hunter Henry themselves again, but like Conklin might come up on the waiver wire show. Like that might be something to talk about, especially with the landscape of the tight end position. So that's that. Last Jet to talk about here real quick, just to mention it, is Mike Williams. And I think down the stretch here, we are going to talk about Mike Williams later in the season. He's obviously recovering from the ACL. He's on a limited snap count. But he had 4 targets, 3 catches for 34 yards, and his one ball he didn't catch was an end zone target that would have been like a 20-yard touchdown. He was a catch away from a pretty big night there, and I think they definitely have a plan for him being that kind of big-bodied receiver. So keep that in mind. Maybe an early stash. Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit later though. As far as the Patriots, not really anyone else really of note. Pop Douglas, guy that you really like, Wes. He's a fun guy. 9 targets, 7 catches for 69 yards, and 14.8 fantasy points. If you're gonna roster one, he might be the guy. But I mean, I don't really know.
It's the only one.
Again, it's just this recurring theme of like, a Patriots pass catcher. I'm okay. Like I'm good. Like that kind of thing. So it's definitely not. Again, maybe Drake May changes that because Drake May. I can't believe we're talking about his fantasy stat line because he played 1 drive, but he had 2.12 fantasy points, which was just 1.8 fantasy points less than Jacoby Brissett's entire game. So if we're going based off that, Drake May is putting up 28 points next week. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see. We'll definitely keep that in mind. And then last guy here, Antonio Gibson. We mentioned him when we were talking about Rhamondre Stevenson, but 6.6 fantasy points. He played 36% on snaps. He's still, again, a lot of it was in I don't want to say garbage time, but it was he was still involved at certain points of the night. But I'm not really concerned about Antonio Gibson taking Rhamondre Stevenson's job.
Straight up forgot he was with New England until Thursday night. Completely forgot he was on the Patriots, and I was like, "Who's number 7? Oh, Gibbs. Oh, that Gibson. Whatever."
In a word,
he's getting paid.
IDGAF. There you go. In a word.
In one word.
IDGAF. That's it. We finally get to stop talking about that game. That's fun. Yay. Let's move on to a little bit of a week 3 preview. We're going to talk about studs and duds. We're back with another studs and duds coming into week 3. It's going to be a fun time. I'm back here with the quarterbacks and wide receivers. Wes has the running backs and the tight ends. It's going to be a fun time. I'm going to talk about them. I'm just going to jump in. Here we go. I'm excited. Please. Stud quarterback for week 3. Don't be afraid. Roll them out. It's Joe Burrow, Joe Shiesty, the real Slim Shady coming into this season, apparently. Or there's a real Slim Shitty in week 1.
Oh, we absolutely got him, dude.
Got him, dude. Anyways, but guess what? He gets the Washington Commanders this week. The offseason rust is falling off. Obviously, we've talked about it. It's been a weird offseason in Cincinnati. It sounds like Jamar Chase is less kind of pissed off at the team right now and is like, we've heard reports he's, you know what? I'll wait on my contract. It's all good. Like, I'll just come play. I'll come do my thing. Offseason rust falling off, though. Scored over 20 fantasy points against Kansas City Chiefs. He gets the Washington Commanders, who Daniel Jones and Baker Mayfield were both top 6 quarterbacks against. And he should have T. Higgins back, and it's on primetime on Monday night. So it should be a good showing there for Joe Burrow. I'm in a league where Joe Burrow got dropped, and I have Kyler Murray. So I'm like,
Burrow.
I already know, like I'm starting Kyler Murray, but like I can't wait to sell high on Joe Burrow. Like after this week, it's going to be a blast. I can't wait to get a key skill flex player. My quarterback dud, Dak Prescott against the Baltimore Ravens. I'm out, man. I'm out this week. Less than 15 fantasy points in each game so far for Dak. Baltimore is averaging just 16 points a game to quarterbacks. I'm not concerned for the long term. Don't get me wrong. He averaged less than 14 points per game over the first 5 weeks last year. But when he hit, it went like wildfire. And he was like a top 3 quarterback, like 7 of the next 8 games. Like he was just absolutely phenomenal the rest of the year. So it's not going to happen this week. He's going to have another down week. But I don't know what it is about the Cowboys. Dak takes a little bit of time to warm up, so it seems, and I'm not trusting him to get hot this week. So he's my quarterback dud for week 3.
Fantastic, especially because I think we both know the Commanders are just probably the best offense to roll out against for any kind of fantasy skill players. All right, running backs, studs and duds. Okay, here we go. Speaking of Dak Prescott, yeah. Here we go. All right. Here's my stud. Running back. Ready? One more shot at this. Zamir White. Okay? It's got to happen this week, or we can drop him. Good news. We get an answer. We get to know what to do with this guy because he's playing the Carolina Panthers. Don't worry about Andy Dalton. That doesn't affect Zamir White, okay? Here's the truth. He's done just enough with the amount of carries he's gotten and the yards and getting the percentage of the snaps, just enough for us to keep him. And now we can drop him if he doesn't even meet his projection, 8.5 points. Okay. Yeah. Really, it should be 15. Really, I should be putting some pressure on this and say, get 15 points and we can move on. But no, I'm going to be extra kind to get 8.5. And then we can talk. But if you can't do that against the Panthers, I dump your ass. You're off my team. We're moving on. And we'll talk about whichever other waiver wires to get. Now, here's my dud. And this is not really what I should be saying, but I'm so wrong about this. I have such a bad feeling I'm wrong about this. But my dud is Kareem Hunt. I have such a bad feeling that if he plays, he's going to get like 20 yards rushing and 10 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. I have such a bad feeling about this. But it's just logical, right? He's just joined the team and he hasn't even been playing this NFL season. So it just makes so much sense not to roll him out. I don't care what your injury lineup is right now with running backs. Don't start Kareem Hunt, okay? However, if you got him, I think this is very good news for you. And I have one quick question. I don't want to spend a lot of time because I know we got to go through the rest of the studs and duds. But last episode, Noah, you said you're talking about which Chiefs running back should you get. You said, I don't really think you should drop Fab on any of them. Yeah, kind of want to break the fourth wall and ask, what made you change your mind? Because you dropped Fab on Kareem Hunt. $55. $55 on Kareem Hunt.
Was this in a dynasty league?
This was, and I wasn't sure if there was any particular reason for that, but I saw that. I was whoa.
It was because we were in a dynasty league. If there's a chance that season long here, and then maybe this reignites something in his career, that really was the play. I have a very struggling team in that league, and I was like, you know what? Maybe he's a flex play at some point for the rest of the season. Though. I will say I did pick up Carson Steele. However, did not spend Fab. He was a free agent after waivers cleared. I went, you know what? If he's free, I'll take the shots. There you go. Beauty. Yeah, no, I agree. It could be 2 touchdowns and 14 total yards. I think it'll be Carson Steele this week, though. I'll be surprised. personally will be surprised if Kareem Hunt is even active for this week. He definitely got to be caught up to speed, but we'll definitely see what happens there. Wide receivers, my stud is he's arrived. It's Jameson Williams. Oh, dude, I've never been so happy for a player to finally be in a place where he is just so relevant. He's at a 20% target share in each game this season. He is leading the team in end zone targets, and they play the Arizona Cardinals this week. And just that, here's a little thing if you want to take a look at things and think about, implied like team totals, how many points that, people think they're going to score, that sort of thing. The over under on all the sports books for this game is 51.5, the highest over under of the week of any game. So if this is going to be a game where there are points scored, Jameson Williams is going to be involved. So very, very much like Jameson Williams this week. My dud, it pains me to say it, but it's very true. And we need to just pump the brakes for a second here. We'll get back on the gas at some point, but Jalen Waddle is my dud for week 3. It's disappointing. It's going to be a really tough go of things, I think, especially in this first week with Skylar Thompson at quarterback. So I'm a little bit worried. He historically in 3 games with Skylar Thompson is averaging less than 12 fantasy points. I think the Dolphins offense is going to get pretty simplified. My hope is, and your hope is, that he is a guy who gets a screen pass and takes it to the house, like that kind of thing. Like that, it's that short yardage, run after catch, that kind of thing, which has been his game. It definitely could, pan out that he gets, he has 2 catches for, 87 yards, and one of the catches was for 4 yards, and the other one was an 83-yard touchdown catch. Like that definitely could be an outcome, but I'm just not banking on it. If you have an option to move around, I unfortunately, this is a guy that I benched this week in favor of Rhamondre Stevenson, because I was like, dude, come on, it's definitely gonna be that guy. So I don't know, I'm screwed anyway. So I'm gonna lose in that league. So anyways, here we go. But Jalen Waddle is my week 3 done at wide receiver.
I get it. Tough for all Miami skill players this week. Hopefully Tyreek and Devon can still be those elite guys. Studs and duds for tight ends. Here we go. Let's make a statement. Officially, the stud, until further notice, roll him out forever, is Brock Bowers. Okay? And I know this sounds a little obvious, like, duh, I mean, the guy has been the tight end 1 on the season. Why should I roll him out? No. Your other tight end is not as good as Brock Bowers. Okay? Your other tight end is not better than Brock Bowers right now. Well, I've got Travis Kelce. He's not better than Brock Bowers.
Yeah.
Okay? There are only 2 tight ends I think you can start over Brock Bowers. Trey McBride. He's actually kind of living up to his ADP and the hype, and he's doing well. And this week, Kyle Pitts is going to go off. Okay? The Chiefs are allowing a lot of points to tight ends. Isaiah Likely showed up, and Mike Gesicki showed up, and now Kyle Pitts hopefully will show up. Otherwise, Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, Sam Laporta are not better than Brock Bowers. You got to start Brock Bowers if you have him over whatever tight end you have.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, just for emphasis, because we already know this has been a bit of concern, my dud is Dalton Kincaid. And I'm sure by now you've gotten some tight end to help out in case he's not great. And I think we have reached the point where our hand is hovering over the panic button, and we are ready to maybe drop him, maybe just leave him alone, maybe just try to trade him for, I don't know, a spork you found on the street. It's getting nervous, okay? But for now, bench him. Do not start Dalton Kincaid. Studs and duds going into week 3, baby.
Boom. There it is. Hot and ready for you. And pizza. I don't know, dude.
We're sponsored by a lot of brands.
Dude. Yeah, we have so many sponsorships. Let us know who you guys are playing this week and plays with some of your injured players. If it's going to be any of our studs and duds, let us know. Drop it in the comments. Again, follow us on all our socials. They're linked down below. And join us on our Discord through our Patreon, patreon.com/4thandtrollfantasy. That's it. We'll be back on Tuesday with a week 3 recap. Enjoy fantasy football this week. It's going to be a blast, and we will be here with you when we get back. My name is Noah Selby.
And I'm Wes Selby.
And this has been 4th and Troll Fantasy. Fourth and Troll Fantasy is a production of FQ Media and Selby Artistic Workshop.